Well, welcome to. Well, hello and welcome to another segment of Divine Connections. I certainly hope that you can hear me because I'm excited about the things that we have happening on tonight. So tonight's guests are two gentlemen that's going to talk to us about something so phenomenal. And that phenomenal thing is something every single woman should know. So what I'd like for you to do is hit like, to hit love, to hit share, to tag a friend, find somebody single, anybody, and let them know there's some great conversation that's happening tonight. Again, tonight's show is entitled What Every Woman Should Know. What every woman should know. I have two guests tonight, and I'm going to bring in the first guest, Mr. Kurt Myers. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am doing absolutely amazing. I am so excited that you have decided to be here with us tonight to share with all of the women things that we need to know from a man's perspective. And so what I want you to do is talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just give us a little information about you.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
I hear something like that.
Okay.
But actually, I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, here. I went to the great Florida Agriculture Mechanical University, home of the mighty Rattlers, sitting on the highest of 7 hills. Then I came back to Orlando to teach. I've been teaching here since 1996, and I'm a member of Joshua Generation Outreach Center with Pastor Dr. Jerry Owens.
Okay, great. So you love the Lord. You know all about what we're going to be talking about tonight, then, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I'm glad he loves me too, because I mess up sometimes just like everybody else.
Well, that's the interesting thing about this particular platform, and that is that nobody has to be perfect in order to be here because we all have experience. We all have things that we've had to go through and things that we've had to deal with. And so I'm excited to have you here. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for accepting this opportunity. Also, we have with us tonight, again, Minister Terry Court. Minister Terry,
Hello.
about you last time, but I'd like to say welcome and thank you for agreeing to be here again on tonight. If you want to tell us something new about you tonight, that'll be great.
It's just an honor to be here. And Dr. Victoria, I just enjoyed the conversations that we have offline and, online. I think that the key word that comes to mind is perspectives. And it's really amazing that this platform, there may have been others, but I can't really recall anyone that has really tried to say, what do the guys think? Because a lot of times the platforms are really designed for women empowerment, women encouragement, and women can talk to other women about men, but if the conversation doesn't bring the man into that conversation, I think that we still have some bridges that we can gap and close together. And I'm just honored to be here. I did hear my friend and co-guest today talk about colleges. So I'm from Southern University, the home of the Jaguars, the best band in the world. So
wow.
Throw that out there. The human jukebox. But no, it's great to have HBCUs represented as well.
Yes, it is.
The mindset is amazing when we can all share our life and our ability to work as a unit with you, Dr. Victoria. So it's an honor to be here again.
Well, thank you again for accepting. Our topic tonight is what every woman should know. And that can go in several different directions. What every woman should know about a man, what every woman should know about herself. There's just so many perspectives to really look at this tonight. One of the things that I'd like for women to know, one woman to another woman, and that is that your price or your value is far above rubies. Now, with that statement being made, to both of you gentlemen, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about what does that mean when you read that in Proverbs 31, that her value is far above rubies.
Well, I can comment on that. You can have something in your hand and it can be of value, but if you don't know it's of value, you are treated as such. In Proverbs 31, it speaks of the definition of a woman, how a woman should act, how a woman should walk, and talk. To me, that really hits home because it teaches us to know what value a woman is and how to treat that value, and not only how to treat it, what's that value of worth should be to a man. And I say should be because it's not like that to all.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Minister Terry? When you hear that a woman's value is far above rubies, what happens when that woman don't know that?
Well, you know what? It's funny that you said that because a lot of times you are in my spirit or in my vein, because that's actually the direction I was going to go. Is that a lot of times, and I'm a father of two daughters, right? So, and I have two sibling sisters. So, I value women, a different way because I have daughters, right? So it's understanding the true value of each individual, being a female, how she should carry herself, how she should walk, how she should talk, and to not allow a man to put the value of who she is on her. But if she doesn't know that, if she doesn't know her true worth, then a lot of times she will settle for things that are not acceptable or unacceptable is what I would say. She will allow herself to not be put on a pedestal and treasured and cherished, right? It's almost like as good as it gets. So in the kingdom, God kind of designs it to where, when we really tap into this, whatever you want, you can have. Whatever you want. So instead of sometimes settling, get the very best that God has for you. But to do that, know who you are, know your worth, have what you will accept and what you won't accept, and then don't settle. But a lot of times, loneliness and everything kicks in so fast that you're sitting there as a family member or a friend, like, why is she even with this guy? He doesn't treat her like she's supposed to be treated. But that comes from not knowing your worth.
And so, if a woman does not know her worth, what does she really need to know about settling? Why does she end up settling?
You know, and I'm going to pass the ball, but I'll start with this. When you settle, it changes. There's so many problems that happen by settling. You can get into abusive relationships from not knowing your worth, or you get into these situations that are self-inflicted because, and you'll also see a pattern. Most women that have bad relationships end up because they keep choosing the same man over and over again, or the same type of man, instead of letting God direct them. Or the other thing is, they want kind of like this rough and rugged sometimes. So they want a little bit of that swag, but then it turns into too much. And then they don't realize that what God has for you is for you to be treasured and cherished, and not all this other nonsense because you think you want a thug. You know.
Wow.
You want to chime in on that, Brother Kurt?
I can. The man of God really kind of summed it up. I can throw some on top of it, add a little mayonnaise and mustard on that. It's kind of like when a woman does not know her worth, she's like baggage. You have to really open the suitcase and unpack her baggage to get to know who she is. Once you get to know who she is and where she is, I think that's all a part of a man's job to, if that self-worth is not there, to try to pour back into her what she's worth. Because if you don't pour back into this woman so she can know what she's worth, therefore she won't be any help to me.
Wow. I have a bishop friend who reminds me of this all the time. He tells me, he says, Pastor Victoria, you are the prize. He said, don't ever forget, you are the prize. And I think that every woman needs to definitely know that tonight before we move on to talking about something else she should know. She should know that she is the prize. Would y'all agree?
Yeah.
Well, the word of God says, when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. So it's kind of like you are looking, a true man that is really trying to have something of substance. We sometime in dating, we say, I'm dating with a purpose, right? So we want to really have a purpose, and we have to take that piece of coal and polish it till it becomes a diamond, right? So we have to really cultivate that relationship and that woman. And again, I'll go back to what I said earlier, put her on a pedestal. And I think that we've forgotten how to do that as a whole. We have, there's such layers, like an onion. There's so many layers now of dysfunction in the African-American relationships that now, until you get to the real source of everything, you really won't have a substance-based relationship. It's tainted.
Can I add to that?
Certainly.
And notice what the man of God said. The word says, when a man find out a good wife, and we spoke about this on yesterday. Notice that word does not say when you find out a good woman or you find out a good girlfriend, because what that means in that sense, a lady has to carry herself like she's a wife, even though she's not a wife. It's a certain way you carry yourself as a woman, and of course, it's a certain way men carry themselves. But since we're on that topic, the word means God doesn't want a woman to be loose and then get it together when she's a wife, because men are supposed to look for a wife, not a girlfriend, and not a woman.
And so when you say she should carry herself like a wife, you're not talking about all the wifely duties, right?
Oh not up front, Pastor Victoria. No. Carry herself, and to put it in layman's terms, if girls go out, they may have a certain length of a dress on or something, and one may say, "Well, girl, I ain't married. I'm free," you know. But when you are married, one may dress differently. But that's what we're looking for. The wife, you know. Of course, men are visual. Men are visual. We don't want to get too biblical and too deep. Men are visual, but not. Yeah, I'm glad you added that, so people wouldn't think I'm saying this. Get all your wifely duties. Not right now.
Not right now.
You know, Miss
Not right now.
Dr. Victoria, I need to just put a cherry on what he said.
Okay.
And you know, I came from a conservative family. You know, my dad and mom, you know, they raised us where, like, a great story. My oldest sister came home with a mini skirt, right? That was back then in the 80s and early 90s. People, they were wearing these really short mini skirts, right?
Mhm.
And put it in the fireplace and burned it in front of all of us, right? This was just old school. That's what he did. So I want to chime in what he said to just say, you don't have to be a prude or a nun.
Exactly.
There has to be a place where we start talking about what bait you use to catch what fish you want to catch, right?
Yeah.
You're showing every piece of your cleavage all the way down to your belly button, right? And we talk direct. So I'm going to be direct. If you are too, if you show too much, then you're going to be perceived as a man as promiscuous, or we're hunters. So not everybody is looking for the same thing. Somebody for just somebody to take to bed, right? So if you have the wrong outfit on, you're going to signal and send the wrong message. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to look attractive.
Correct.
Point now where attractive has turned into very, you know, the designers of clothes are designing them to be more and more, you know, exposing, right? And so what are you going to do? You're going to attract that man's mind of flesh, right? And I'm a man. So you see a woman that's gladly dressed or lightly dressed, that mind is going to shift to where the enemy is waiting for you, right? And so we have to really talk about that. What do you want to, what do you really want to advertise, right?
Right.
Are you going to advertise your mind or your body?
That's true. That is so true. So every woman needs to know that every man is not looking for the most revealing outfit or the most, for sake of a better word, you're not looking for the sexiest person on the block. You're looking for somebody that you could actually make a wife, or not make your wife,
Or shall we say wife material?
wife
You know what?
material.
You can go to the grocery store as a man and you can look at a woman by the way she's dressed sometime, and you might perceive this is wife material, or she's married already. Even if she's not, you may assume that she's married by how she looks. And it's just no disrespect. And I'm not saying that, Pastor Victoria, I'm not saying I don't want to say the word sexy because we're trying to keep it godly. So, but you can look attractive.
Yes.
I know the difference between a turtleneck and, you know, nothing at all. There's got to be an in between.
Right. Yeah. Because I do have some pastor friends that want their wives to dress up like they are going on a real date. I mean, that is what they want. They don't, you know, they're not looking for the turtleneck. They're looking for the V-neck. I know, maybe even deeper than a V, maybe a Y-neck, you know?
But see, the difference is he's already found his wife. That's different. If that's what your husband likes, hey.
I agree. I think there comes a point of just what are you advertising? If you are already involved with someone, then yes, you're not dressing to find you already have, like you already have it. So it's okay to entice your mate, to make him happy. Even in the word, it says, a married, a bedroom is not defiled if you're married and everything. So we're not saying that you got to be a nun, but once again, we're talking to women and how to prevent them from getting the wrong attractiveness for men, because you're going to keep getting that same man that is looking for how quickly can I get you to bed, as opposed to how quickly can I take you to the altar.
Wow, that's good. Listen at this statement. God had made man a wonderful place to live. The man remained less than complete, so he needed a woman to complete his purpose, but not his person. What is it that every woman should know about a statement like that?
Well, I would say, first of all, as you read the word of God, notice Adam never said anything about being alone because he was too busy in purpose. God told him man should not live alone. And that's I would say point number one. You have to find a man in purpose. You have to find a man in purpose. And to answer your question, one thing about that, I would say, most women struggle with first of all, if a man is interested in you, it'll be obvious. It'll be obvious. If I can say one thing every woman should know, they should know a man, if he's interested in you, it'll be obvious. Women have such great intuition. They can know something, but they cannot put their finger on it. But they fail so bad in knowing if a man is interested in them. They'll go ask their friends. They'll go to every Get magazine or somewhere online and fill out a 25-question questionnaire. If he's for you, these will be the things to look for. I mean, we're not that complicated. That's one thing every woman should know. I believe that if a man is interested in you, darling, you'll know. You definitely know. We'll make it obvious.
You agree, Minister Terry?
Not only do I agree, but I want you to ask your question again in 1 second. But I want to hit one point before you asked it, is that if a man is truly interested in you, truly, then everything is outlined by his actions.
Yes.
You have to ask him to call you or text you or check on you, or, again, you should have a checklist as a woman of how I want to be treated by a man. Mm-hmm. We touched on something yesterday. I'm going to say this, and I will get in trouble for it, but you should be able to train your man. So if you want to train, I know, but the thing is, treat me as I don't know anything about you, Dr. Victoria, and all I want you to do is program me. So that's a better word than train.
Yeah.
How about that? So you have the ability to program me however you want me to respond to you. Now, please ask your other question. I'll respond to that. But I love where he was going, so I wanted to put a cap on that. But let's go back to the original question.
Well,
Victoria, hold on 1 minute. Let me say this, because I think the minister made this comment yesterday, and I want to reiterate. Not only if you're in a relationship with the opposite sex, but if you're in a relationship with anybody, you teach people how to treat you. You teach people how to treat you. If someone not treating you right, say, listen, that's not the way I'm going to be treated. But if that's the way you call yourself treating me, I need to step back. And that's in any kind of relationship.
See, you opening up so many cans of worms that I'm trying to answer the first question, but now I got to go where you went. I'm in your vein. So a lot of women now, I'm not going to let a man control me. I'm not going to let him tell me what to do. And those are some of those things that are like from these past relationships that they may have been somewhat abused mentally or physically, that carries over into a man that's not trying to control you, but now you're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
every woman should know that every man is not trying to tell you what to do, but he is sometimes asking you to follow along with him.
Right.
Let's go back.
Is it a true statement that men want things to be their idea? They don't want to feel like they're being led by a woman.
Well, I'm gonna go biblical for you if you need me to, because it just says that the man is supposed to be the head, and y'all, and that's a big challenge sometimes, because here's the deal. It's an umbrella. And the submission part, that word submission, gets us in a lot of trouble, because the interpretation, I'm not gonna let no man, I'm not submitting to him, but reality is he's supposed to submit to the woman first, right? Because it says that, man, love your wife as Christ loved the church, right? So he's already establishing that umbrella. Now, wife, submit and love your husband. Our children, submit to your mom. So it's kind of like a umbrella over everything, right? Caught up on submit to the man. But if the man is walking by faith and he's doing what he's supposed to do, then she can follow him wherever he goes, right? And I always use this sometimes when you look at two women. You look at Noah's wife, right? Let's look at, now let's look at
Lot's wife.
Lot's wife.
Oh, wow.
We'll take it even further. My gosh, I just went a blank. This gentleman in the Bible lost everything. Job, thank you.
Job.
Thank you, Lord. So there's Noah's wife and there's Job's wife. Which wife are you, or which woman are you? Are you going to challenge Noah? Did God really tell you to make this ark? It ain't raining. She didn't do that. She said, baby, whatever God told you to do it. And I'm going to follow you. Now, Job's wife was curse God and die. If your God is real, why are you going through all of this, right? His friends, his family, his wife, everybody's like, no, just dig a hole and jump in it, right? So if my wife is doing that too, I got the whole world already against me.
Wow.
So my wife should be the one that's baby. And this is what I always tell people. I want my wife to be my number one cheerleader. You can do it when nobody else will believe in me. And that's what I mean by following him. Because if he's God-led and God-fed, then he's going to do the right thing and you can follow him. Now, here's the thing. Some women say, well, my husband ain't following God and he ain't doing this, so I can't follow that man. That's not what the word says. It says pray for him.
Yep.
You pray for your husband, but you don't go against him because y'all are in a covenant. And whatever he does, he's held accountable to a higher standard. So if he's the driver of the car, he's the one that's going to jail, which means God is going to take care of him. You just do your part as a wife and you submit to him to a degree. Now, I'm saying if he's godly, right? I'm not telling you to run off the road with him. Sometimes you got to pack the kids up and leave, right? But God should have told you to do that as well.
Let me pick it on something.
I think this may be a true statement that if you choose the right woman for you, she bring out the best in you.
Yeah.
You choose the wrong woman for you, she can bring out the worst in you. And she can think you're bad because she's not doing what she need to do to bring out the best. And so she's appealing to that other side of you. How do you keep from making sure, not only as a woman, that you choose the man who will bring out the best in you, but also as a man? I've talked to a lot of men who connected with women that had so much baggage that they did not bring out the best in the man. They brought out the worst in the man. When the man got rid of that woman and got a new woman, he became Superman.
Well, let me kind of say something on that point, because from what I've known about women, whatever you pour into a woman, she'll give it back to you 10 times strength. Now, if you go back to the Word of God, when Adam, when Eve was tricked, the key word tricked by the serpent, the first thing the serpent told Eve is, did God really say that? Meaning, did you hear that straight out his mouth? And he messed with her cycle. He messed with her conscience. He messed with her mind. That's what a battlefield is. If Adam would have begun to pour into his wife, like so many men don't do, we must pour into our wives, into the people that we connected with, so they can have a self-esteem. So when they go somewhere, they can say, well, no, not really, but my husband told me, and I trust him because he has poured into me. I know my worth.
And I think that's a good point, because submission is literally power under control.
Yes.
It means that you come up under a man's mission and you find protection and safety under his covering. So you should not connect to a man whose covering you already don't trust. Because as you just mentioned, sometimes what happens is that women get deceived because they come out from under the covering of that man. So therefore, it opens them up to all types of things. But you were getting ready to say something, right?
Me?
Yes.
I don't think so.
We were talking about God having everything in place when the woman came. Adam had.
Yeah, that's right. And we talked about it on yesterday. If in the word, if you notice, when Eve stepped on the scene, there was nothing for her to do but be a help meet. And people get that word confused between a help mate. A man does not need you to mate, he needs you to help meet, meaning God has already given him a plan. So as men, we have to be so connected with God that we know our purpose. Because if I don't know my purpose, then I'm going to need help. Then I'm going to become baggage to the woman. So when Eve stepped onto the scene, Adam already knew his purpose, and she stepped on while he was doing. He was Adam was so in purpose, he had to be put to sleep.
Wow.
Because he was so in purpose. So women have to understand, I'm going to connect with a man. And I'm not talking about, I know some men were thinking, men, we don't have to have it all together. I think I posted this one day. Women are not looking for a Superman. They're just looking for a consistent Clark Kent.
That's funny.
You know what? The thing that I hear, and the reality is sometimes what a woman needs is not what she wants, right?
Wow.
So
yeah.
you may have this guy that is it's kind of like that 80-20. She's going for that 20% instead of the 80%. Oh, he's a nerd, he's this or that, right? And believe it or not, I was considered a nerd and everything, younger growing up. And my mom said, baby, nerds make money, be a nerd, right? So, but the thing is, sometimes they don't want that guy that's going to treat them right, because they're looking for the guy that might have, a 8-pack instead of a 6. He's got an 8-pack. He's tall, dark, and lovely, and everything else that they're looking for. But two things can happen. He may have the spirit of haughtiness, or he might be, just can't be in a monogamous relationship, or
haughty. Yeah,
he can be very aggressive, or there's so many women that will do any and everything for him, that the woman that really wants his attention, she's competed with so many other women that don't have the same standards as she does. And so she gets caught up in triangles of treatment because his spirit might not align with hers, right? And so there's a lot of areas where we can really say that a woman has to now make herself available. God is the potter. They should be the clay. They should just allow him to mold them, and then a man will go shopping and find that perfect pot with the blend with cracks or nicks or whatever it is. And then it's our job to repair those nicks over time. Because we know you're gonna be broken in some fashion at our age, right? In our 20s and teens, and maybe by the time we're 30, that's when we have the innocence. After 30 and you're still single or been married or divorced once, you're going to be bringing something along with you, the I ain't never let this happen again mindset, right? It's a little something that is no longer pure. So we got to be able to take that, whatever that broken piece is, and put it back together slowly. But you got to give him that opportunity and not convict him of a crime that he didn't commit yet.
Right. Well, listen, we live in a world now where women are in all forms of leadership. Recently, we saw Kamala Harris become the first African American woman in our lifetime to be on a vice president ticket. I want to ask the question to you gentlemen. What is it that the female business leader, ministry leader, Fortune 500 company leader, government leader, what is it that they need to know about men? Because they're instinctively they're leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to a woman that is everybody's boss, and then when she comes home, she can't boss anymore because now she's a woman in authority that comes up under authority?
Well, again, going back to what you said, Prophetess, if you choose the right woman, and sometimes we make mistakes, of course, once you find that that's the right person for you, and that's true, that person shouldn't have that spirit as she's connected with you. Because I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, that's basically, if you choose the right one, and you will know it because you're gonna make some mistakes sometimes. You're not always gonna get it right. But once you find that right one, we don't want the minister, we don't want the prophetess to come in the house with us. I want my baby to come in the house with me.
So you want all those titles left at the door, and when she comes home, she is Kurt's wife.
Yes, and I'm talking from experience.
Okay.
I'm going to go a different way with that. I'm going to say the key is equally yoked. So if you're unequally yoked, it won't matter anyway, right? And that's from a spiritual standpoint, and that's also from a power standpoint, right? Because what's going to happen is your level of success, and this is a couple things that happen. Sometimes a woman will outpace a man, and then he's jealous of her success, and it brings a problem. So first of all, you got to get a man that's willing to allow you to excel and to achieve the highest heights with him saying, baby, go do it. I'm proud of you. What can I do to help you? You know, that's the first thing, because sometimes men will be intimidated by your success or how much money you're making. I'm different. Hey, make as much money as you can. If you make $1 million and I got 200, we got $1 million too. Right? You know, the lights gonna turn on and off the same way. But some men don't want their wife or their woman, and that's a controlling feature. They don't want her to make more than him because then he feels inferior, or he feels like, oh, you know, and y'all don't make it any easier, Pastor Victoria, because some of y'all be like, I don't need no man. I can do everything by myself.
Some of y'all,
not all.
Some of y'all.
I said some, not all. But you can't let that success dictate how you treat your man, because a man still wants to feel like a man. And what does that mean? That means you can still let me do some of the things that I know you can do already by yourself because you are, you know, highly skilled, but still give a man his ability to have his pride and his ego, right? Because that's one of the things that when they get that stripped, or he's emasculated, or he's made to feel less than, then that's where you're going to start having problems, because you have now taken the only thing that he has. And that's the ability to feel like he can be, he doesn't even have to make the money, but he has to feel like he's still providing for you, protecting you, that you need him. Oh, thank you, Lord. We want to feel needed.
And Dr. Victoria.
The Lord just shot that in my head. Needed.
Dr. Victoria, we spoke on that yesterday. The woman has to make sure she's connecting with a man that knows who he is first.
Right.
Yeah, that's number one. Because then what we're doing, we're swapping suitcases, unpacking each other's suitcases, unpacking luggage, just unpacking luggage.
Okay.
And you know what's so critical about everything that we just said is that it's not that we don't want you to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But what he just said a few seconds ago was, when you come home, take the success off and just be our wife, be our friend, both ways for a man. Because, you know, sometimes when men get power, they get on. This is all about power now. So that's really what we're talking about. You know, and even in Hollywood and all these other places where you get all these powerful people or people that have a lot of money, a lot of their relationships don't work because they don't know how to divide the power, divide the ego, be able to come home and just be high school or college friends, be sweethearts, date, go back to, like the Bible said, your first love. But he was talking about Christ, but in that scenario, go back to when you first fell in love, when it wasn't that serious, it didn't have all the degrees attached to it, it didn't have all the accolades, it just was the two boxes. I like you. Do you like me? Yes or no?
Check
if
one
we can get
of
back to that.
Hey, it works, you know.
I got my first girlfriend that way, with a sheet of paper that just said, do you like me? Yes or no? And I wish we could go back to that.
I wish we would too, because now you got to kind of try to figure out, you know, do the person like you enough for you to go to the next level? Or what is attracting them to you? Even if you're not dressing provocatively, they could be attracted to a lot of other things besides you as an individual, because they don't even take the time to get to know who you are. I'd like to have the audience, if anybody out there have a question that they'd like to ask the gentleman, if there's something that you want to know, and maybe we haven't covered it this far. But while we're waiting on that, I'm going to give Ashley a moment to formulate a question that she'd like to ask you, gentlemen. And I'm going to put her on screen. But I've been thinking about this topic a lot because there are so many women out there that say that there are no good men left. But I run across so many good single men all the time. I just happen to know that they're not the right person for me. But there's so many out there, so many good, godly, saved, got it together men, and they're ready. They're actually ready to meet somebody. And so they need to know this information. They need to know. I mean, both of you, I think you may already, I don't know if you're in a relationship right now or not, but would you say that there are a lot of men that you know that are single that are looking for eligible women?
You know, men and women are the same. So we group ourselves together with other men. So it's kind of like the birds of the feather flock together. So, you know, like-minded men will kind of be like in our circles, business owners, businessmen, man of God, ministers, pastors. And so you're going to always come across people that will have what it takes. But the reality is, it's kind of like buying and selling. You may have the buyer, but you don't have the seller. You might have the seller, but you don't have the buyer. So it's very difficult to be in these circles, and everyone has their guard up. And I think that's the key right now is the first thing is the women have to change their strategy and kind of go back into making themselves available, not wasting time on relationships that are not going anywhere, you know, because we do that as well, men and women. We may pick somebody that we know is not right for us, but it's still companionship. It's still somebody that, you know, can spend some time with us or whatever, but it's not the right time. It's not our wife. So
Right.
the moment that you, or husband, the moment that you have your spot that's supposed to be vacant, tied up with somebody or some bodies, because some people have multiple relationships, right? If you're tied up, then what God has for you, you can't receive until you have prepared yourself a place that he can trust that I'm going to send you my best. So you can have whatever you want, but his best you can't have unless he can trust that you're going to treat it the right way, man or woman.
Cool. Okay. So what's your response to that, Kurt?
Um, hmm. I kind of got off, to tell the truth, I kind of got off the question. I was about to say something about what he said. Restate your question again for me.
Well, we were talking about women that are in position of power.
Oh, gotcha. You just can't be, a man just cannot be intimidated by the woman. Again, if you know who you are, it doesn't make a difference. But we have so many women, and I'm not going to say y'all. We have so many women that get to that Oprah status or whatever, that I don't need a man. I can do this by myself. Well, that's true, and because I'm quick to tell my girlfriend, my maid, or my wife, I don't want you to need me, because then you're needy. You can do it by yourself, but let me help you. Like the young man said yesterday, let me do it for you. A woman can do it by herself, of course. That's good. But let me assist you. Let me help you to take some of that pressure off you. So sometimes you have to dumb it down. Just like I would tell a woman something about me. So in a relationship, I have to dumb it down because I can cook, I can iron, I can decorate a house like a woman, I can dress, got a business, got a car, got a job. So I mean, so sometimes I have to dumb it down and let the woman be a woman in the house.
And I'd like to clarify, there are very few women that I know who feel like they don't need a man. I want to clarify that. Now, they may be coming across that way. It may be the
Yeah.
message that they're conveying, but it has not been a true statement in the world that I live in.
But Victoria, what?
Go ahead.
Dr. Victoria, one of the things I would say is that I agree and I disagree. This is where I disagree. I think the coping mechanism, right? So I think they have been hurt. So they may say, I don't need a man. I don't need anything. I can do it all by myself. Even though they really want a good man in their life, the only way that they can deal with the fact that they don't have one is say, I don't need it. I'm good. I'm all right. So it's kind of like, I remember as a child, and real fast story, I was riding a bike and I hit a rock, flipped over, and I was with all my friends. And I was like, I'm good. Everything's great. I got in the house and I cried and yelled and everything else, but in front of everybody, I'm good. So women sometimes say, I'm good. But that pain is still there. That desire is still there. And the need for a man is still there. But the coping mechanism is what prevents them from really being honest enough to say, no, I just really want a good man in my life. That's the true statement.
Yeah, I agree. I meet more women like that it takes so long for somebody to come in their life, or they don't like the dating scene, or they don't like what somebody said to them. So the way that they cope with that is they'll say things like, well, yeah, I don't really want to be with anybody anyway. But that's not true. God never created us to just be alone unless he's called us to that place of being a eunuch. And I don't know many of those in the 21st century. And it's okay to feel as though you desire somebody in your life. You're not betraying God by saying, being with Jesus is enough. Jesus is in heaven. He has given.
He said, you're a helpmeet. You're supposed to be the help. Y'all are together. This is, he says, leave your mom and your dad and your family and your friends and everything, and y'all cleave together as one. So he's always saying, come together, join as one unit. So, the man is the same way, though, because see, here's the deal. A lot of women may feel like men are like just dogs and all this other stuff, but we got feelings too, right? So we get hurt, right? And what does hurt people do? Hurt people hurt people.
Whatever.
Hurt people hurt people. So you hurt me. Now the next woman that gets me, she gonna get everything that I was trying to give you out to her, right? The man hurt you, Dr. Victoria. The next man that you get, he's not gonna have a silver platter. He's gonna have a tarnished piece of silver that he's got to either polish up or he's gonna have a hard time dealing with it, right? Because that's what we do. We put them through the next, whoever we get next, it's gotta break all that ice that we built up from the hurt in the past.
I think that happens, it becomes tarnished when people refuse to do the work.
Yeah.
I cannot reiterate that enough. Your single season is for you to deal with all the stuff that happened to you in the previous relationships or whatever. All of those, this time that God give you is now for you to pay attention to how do you respond to men? You know, how do you respond to correction? What is your view on being submitted? What is your view on being a team? You know, those kind of things prepare you. And not only that, can you work through issues? Because anybody who believed that being in any relationship, especially marriage, anybody who believed that you're going to get on a white horse and ride off into the sunset and it's going to be happily ever after is greatly deceived. The only way it's going to be happily ever after is that two people be really willing to die to themselves. The Bible says, you know, that when you leave and when you cleave, there's a death that's happening. You're dying and she's dying because a new unit needs to emerge, which means that we got to sit down and we got to talk through some things. And men don't always want to talk through things. I saw a picture today of this man cutting the grass and his wife yells out the door and said, well, when you finish, I want us to talk about our feelings. And he get rid of the lawnmower and go pick up a pair of scissors because he don't want to talk about his feelings, you know. He don't want to have that kind of discussion, but it has to happen. You are entering into a covenant with an emotional being whose emotions sometimes are everywhere. And I believe that a man can be anointed to help a woman go all the way over into her healing, but he has to understand, as the scripture says, to dwell with her according to knowledge. You got to know what kind of silver you have or what kind of gold you have. Yes. You have to know, listen to this, what God has assigned to your ministry. Your first ministry is this person. And as Kurt was saying, you as a man pour into her. And as you pour into her, she becomes a product of your leadership.
Yes.
She begins to reflect you in the earth. And when she walk out there, if she's making $1 million, you can look at her and say, this is what my ministry produced right here. You have no need to be intimidated by her. You've been able to cultivate that woman into y'all became a power team together. Separate, you were doing your thing, she was doing her thing, but when you come together, now you begin to be a force to be reckoned with. And as one of you were saying, you don't let anybody come in now and begin to take away or tear down from that union. You don't give people permission to speak to you against your mate. You stop them at the door. Even if you believe it's true, you be like, nah, you do not have authority to speak against the man that I'm in covenant with or the woman that I'm in covenant with. So I done got my little preach on. Ashley, I got you on here. Come on, what you want to say? What you want to know?
Prophet Z, 1 minute. I have some people texting me saying they cannot post their comments. Is it public?
This thing always say that it's public, but first we're gonna troubleshoot it.
Okay, all right.
If they, I don't know, maybe because they're not my friend, I don't know what it is, but we're gonna troubleshoot it and find out why we're not getting all the comments and why it's not letting everybody see it.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but go ahead, Ashley.
I just want both of you guys to kind of touch on this subject of letting women know how important it is remaining chasteable once you get into a relationship or a marriage. Because I think a lot of times women, they get in marriages or in relationships and they just kind of let themselves go because they feel like, oh, I already got this person. So can you kind of, talk on that?
I think yes, I can. I really think that goes both ways because I think that's not just a woman, but I think we as humans get into relationships and kind of let ourselves go because we think I already have them. But it's so important. It's so important to be still chaseable. It's so important to still date, to still be the apple of that person's eye. That's but that's the reason you have to be attracted to more than just physical
Mm-hmm.
because that's not going to look the same for all of your life. Things are going to change, but the inner beauty will always still shine. It will still shine. I remember I used to take my boys to the mall. One was 12 and one was 9. And at that age, I say, you got somebody y'all think it's beautiful. And one of my boys picked out the one with all the features, like the Popeyes box with the hips, the thighs, and all this here. And you 12. And then my other little one picked one out that didn't have all that, but we saw her talking to somebody in the store. I'm like, that's a very well-mannered young lady. So I at an early age, I try to raise my boys to think, uh, son, everything glitter ain't gold. It ain't gold, but you have to look for inner beauty. And once you look for that inner beauty, again, you still are pouring into each other. So we'll know that he's still interested in me, or I'm still interested in her. And that way we still can be chaseable.
So I'm going to go the same direction, but I'll just make it brief because I know we're getting short on time, Ashley. The answer to your question is every day should be a brand new day, right? So we should never get to the place where it's Groundhog Day and it's just like, you know what? I don't feel like doing my hair today. I don't feel like doing this. He already knows who I am. He already knows what I look like. He's mine. I'm his. So we good. No, because there's so much competition out there, and there's so many women that whether a man is married, single, dating, whatever it is, there's women out there that will constantly be testing the strength of your bond, right? So you have to always present yourself the best. Now, I'm not saying that you got to put the nails on, the hair, the eyelashes, and everything, and 3 pounds of makeup.
But there's nothing wrong with some of that, man.
But at the same time, be presentable. Put yourself in a place where you got your man's full attention every day that he comes home, and vice versa. Man needs to smell good, look good, clean up. Don't be walking around with no holy t-shirts and everything. We got to do our part, but it's mutual. Both of us got to present ourselves to the other as this is my prized possession, my trophy, right? This is the one that out of everybody in the world, billions of people, God chose this one for me. Now we're going to gain weight as a woman. We're going to lose some weight. I mean, that's just being a woman, right? I was with someone that went from an 8 to a 22 back to a 10, right? And I didn't love her any less, right? Because part of that was my problem. I helped her have children. So I had to understand that because she had children by me, her weight was going to fluctuate. But it was up to her, which I give her credit for, to say, hey, you know what? I'm not comfortable with this in myself. So, right, it doesn't even matter what I want. It matters what you're comfortable with, Ashley. What your best Ashley is who you should present to your husband or your boyfriend or your spouse or significant other, right? It's whoever your best is. And I got to give you my best.
Ashley, I want to kind of piggyback on what he said. Baby, ain't nothing wrong with a little mac and some lashes. You're going to be all right.
That is funny. I agree. I think women should look their best as often as possible. Just, but we recognize and realize that during the COVID season, people did pick up a little bit of weight, okay? And
Yeah.
the things are starting to open back up, and we all about to head back there. I'd like to put that disclaimer in there.
That COVID disclaimer.
Okay, as we wrap it up tonight, gentlemen, can you tell us one thing that you thought about over this week, knowing that you were going to be on this platform? One thing that women need to know.
I'll start. I think I've already iterated it that women trust me, if we are interested in you, you will know it because we'll make it obvious. You trust your intuition, the same intuition that you trust if you think we cheating, or if you think something else going on, that same intuition, trust it. We'll let you know. And it'll be obvious if we're interested in you. And that's basically what I had to say about that one.
You want women to know it. What about you, Minister Terry? What do you want women to know?
I said this last week, I'm gonna say it again. Women should be made with sugar and spice and everything nice, right? That was the nursery rhyme. And all I'm saying is you don't have to show a man how powerful you are. You don't have to compete with him. You don't have to try to put him in his place. You just gotta love him with kindness. You gotta go back to Corinthians. Love is kind, right? Love is love. Love is patient. Love is long suffering. All these things he's saying, this is love. But of all things, that is the greatest of everything, it's love. So if we can get back to loving each other, communication is the key. Stop sweating the small stuff and turning it into Mount Everest when it's something that really is. My mom used to say, "Is that unto death?" Right? So did what I just did to you, are you going to die from it? Or is it an opportunity for you to tell me, I didn't appreciate how you did this, and then give me a chance, say, baby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. Because a lot of times you assume that I knew what I did to hurt you. And I might have been as clueless as a box of rocks, and I'm just whistling along like everything is good. And you are festering, you're boiling over, and then one little thing, it's an explosion, and it was all based on something that I never even knew I did even in the first place. So we gotta communicate. We gotta learn how to communicate.
That's good. That's good.
And I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, to do one more thing. To that woman out there that is single and she's lonely, I want you to give her a word of encouragement. Maybe even a man out there in the same situation, they just have not been able to connect. They haven't been able to make that divine connection. And I would like to take a ministry moment for you to speak something that will help them to get through this season, especially during this isolation time.
Okay. Again, I'll lead the way. If you're that person and you're on here listening now, young ladies, first know you are beautifully and wonderfully made by God. You are enough. Don't let no one make you think that you're not enough. You are enough in your own right. Know who you are. Take maintenance on your own self, and try to as like the prophet said, as you are single, this is the time to kind of deal with these issues, because you can't get over something until you be true to something. You have to be true to it first, and that's yourself.
Amen. Thank you. Minister Terry?
First thing I'm going to give you is discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Pray for the spirit of discernment. Pray for your ability to discern. Because if you discern, the Holy Spirit is going to dwell with you. He's going to talk to you every second of the day if that relationship is there. If you don't have the relationship, it's like walking in the dark, right? So you're going to bump into everything because you can't see anything. They say that the light shines through the dark, right? So how do you get to the light? By having discernment, by listening as well. Because a lot of times you may hear something, but it may not be what you want to hear. you may hear that soft, quiet voice that says he is not the one. And
Wow.
you still do it anyway. Because he's the one for me. It's what you wanted, right? So there's two roads. It's God's way and your way. You got to pick which way you want. And if you're single right now, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I don't want anything right now but for God to provide. You should be praying. God, provide for me. It should be a laundry list, right? You should write down, I want him to be 6 feet tall. I want him to be a man of God. I want him to be a family-oriented man where he will respect my children if you have some. Whatever it is, you need to have a detailed list, almost like it's Christmas, right? So you put your whole Christmas list together, and then you give it to God, and then he provides you your man, right? Or your woman. But you don't deviate because he wants the best. But we settle for less than the best because you know what? We're impatient. So wait on the Lord. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He will direct your path. That's what the word says. He will direct your path. Our path can be straight and narrow, as he said, or it can be windy, right? And that's when we don't do what he wants us to do because we have what that word is, free will. So if our free will wants us to do whatever we want to do, and we listening to our flesh, we listening to our girlfriend, we listen to somebody saying, you've been single too long, you need to get on this and that, and this dating site, just prepare yourself and be ready and ask and you shall receive. But to do that, you got to be ready. He wants the best for you. But if you're not ready, then you're going to keep making the same mistake over and over again until one day you realize, I need to stop making this same mistake. I need to be patient. I need to wait. I need to pray. And that's the key. Fast. Add that to it. Start fasting for what you want. And then you got to use your tongue to speak life into your relationship. I don't need no man. I don't want no relationship. I ain't ready yet. All these other things. Well, if you said all that, then why am I going to send you a man? That's what God's saying. Why am I going to send you a husband or why am I going to send you a wife if you're saying you don't want one right now?
That's true.
You got to say, Lord, prepare me. Prepare my heart. Prepare my mind. I'm ready for the next part of my life. And if you're over 40, 45, you know, we halfway done with this thing.
We're going to be over 50 and 55. Hey.
I mean, at the end of the day, he gave us 70. Anything over 70, I call that as a bonus round, right? So we...
Oh, no, I believe in 120, Terry.
I'm telling you. But I'm saying, if I got 70, I know that he gave me his promise. But anything above that, and we are living longer. So why do I want to live longer alone? You know, 20, 30, 40 years together with somebody at this point moving forward. The only way I can do that is prepare, be ready, and be honest. Just be honest with my situation and know that I messed up, she's messed up, but we can help each other get better.
Well, those are awesome, good talking points. I mean, there were several things that you said there that I'd like to do a whole show on lists, and I'd like to do a whole show on dating sites. Both of those, I'd like to do just a whole show talking about it. We can't get into it tonight, but I'm so grateful that both of you gentlemen were here to share with all of the ladies and all of the people that will see this about things that women should know, what every woman should know, what every woman should know. You heard it here first, right here on Divine Connections. I want to thank again my guests, Kurt Myers and Minister Terry Courts. Both of these gentlemen are amazing men, and I thank you so much for your awesome insight. Thank you, Ashley, for being with us again. And if you guys will just hold on just a little while on backstage, we'll come and talk a little bit more. Again, you heard it all happen right here on Divine Connections with Dr. Victoria, where you get the information that is necessary to not just get in a relationship, but be sustained in your relationship. If you're interested or you know somebody who's interested in perhaps being on this platform and sharing their single experience or their single expertise, have them to contact us at info@bosslady-network.com. We're always excited to have people come on, and I do have a long list of people waiting to come on. Trust me, there are people that want to talk, want to share, and they also want to make that divine connection. And so I encourage you to continue to hold on. And as I said in the beginning, to every woman, you need to know this: your value is far above rubies. And like the gentleman told you tonight, you are enough. And for the person that's right for you, he's going to see your worth and value. He's going to look past all of the externals and really see what you are bringing to the table. And so I'm reading some of the comments, they are sharing that both guys gave some great advice. So you're already making an impact, gentlemen. And again, until next time, this is Dr. Victoria with Divine Connections. And prayerfully, you'll make yours by the next time that we meet together. So we're going to say good night to you.